Well, so we are at stage four, 252, last Edward Suite, Newark type. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
First question. Will I
Mm-hmm.
ask you the same questions again next lesson as I am asking you now? Will I ask you the same questions again next lesson as I am asking you now? Yes, you'll ask me
Yes, you
the same
asked me
questions
the same
again
question
next lesson a-
again next
as
lesson,
you are asking me now.
as you're asking me now.
Greg, if we make too many mistakes in our dictations, do you think it's better to do them again? If we make too many mistakes in our dictations, do you think it's better to do them again? Yes, if we make
If
too
we
many
make
mistakes in
a
our
mistake
dictations,
on
I think
communication,
it's better to
I
do them
think it's
again.
better to do that again.
Very good. What's the duration of a lesson in this school? What's the duration of a lesson in this school? The duration of a lesson
Duration
in this
of the
school
lesson in
is.
this school is 25 minutes.
Right, what's the duration of a game of football? What's the duration of a game of football? The duration
The
of a
duration
game
of
of
a game
football
of
is
football is 90 minutes.
very good. Will there be anything on TV tonight? Will there be anything on TV tonight? Yes or no?
Yes, there'll
There'll
be
be something
something
on TV tonight.
on TV tonight.
Will there be any pictures hanging on these walls next lesson? Will there be any pictures hanging on these walls next lesson? Yes, there'll be some
There'll
pictures
be something,
hanging
some pictures
on those walls
hanging on those
next
walls
lesson.
next lesson.
Wait, will there be a chair on the table next lesson? Will there be a chair on the table next lesson? No, there won't
Yes,
be a
no,
chair.
no,
There
the
won't be a chair
one chair
on the table next lesson.
table next lesson.
Very good. Will there be anybody sitting on the floor next lesson? Will there be anybody sitting on the floor next lesson? No, there won't
No,
be
there
anybody
weren't anybody
sitting on the
sitting
floor next lesson.
next lesson.
Very good. Okay, next. Which newspaper do you read? Which newspaper do you read? I read.
I read Nikkei Shimbun newspaper.
Which is one of the most popular newspapers in your country? Which is one of the most popular newspapers in your country? The
Ni- The Nikkei Shimbun
is
newspaper is the
one
most
is one
popular one.
is one of the most popular
Is
newspaper
one of the most popular
in
newspaper
my
in my
country.
country.
Very good. Do you often read magazines? Do you often read magazines? Yes or no?
No, I don't read
I don't. I
often.
don't
I
often read.
don't. I don't often read magazines.
Very good. What's the past of sell? What's the past of sell? The past of sell
The
is
cost of
sold.
sale is sold.
Which shop sold your shoes? Which shop sold your shoes?
Uh,
Nike, Adidas
Adidas
sold
in
me
Nike
uh,
sold me
my shoes.
a shoe, my shoe.
Very good. What do we use to make a fire? What do we use to make a fire? We use wood,
We use
paper.
mud, oh,
We
wood
use
and paper.
wood. And one more.
We use
Wood,
um,
paper,
we
coal,
we use wood, paper, pole,
coal, etc. to make a fire.
etc. to make a fire.
What color's coal? What color's coal? Coal's black.
Cold black.
Very good. In a restaurant, what do we look at to decide what we want to eat? In a restaurant, what do we look at to decide what we want to eat? In a restaurant,
In a
we look
restaurant,
at
we
a menu to decide what we want to eat.
want to eat.
Did you decide to study English or did somebody in your family decide for you? Did you decide to study English or did somebody in your family decide for you? I decided
I
to
decided,
study
I
English.
decided to study English.
Nobody in my family
Nobody in
decided
my
for
family
me.
decided for me.
Very good. Okay. Explain the difference between the present continuous and the present simple. Explain the difference between the present continuous and the present simple, please. The difference between
The difference
the present
between
continuous
present
and the
continuous
present
and the
simple
present
is that
simple
we
is
use
that
the present
we use
continuous
the present
for an
continuous
action we
for
are
an
doing now,
doing now.
whereas we use the
Which we
present
use
simple
present
for an
simple
action we do generally.
for action we do generally.
Very good. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm explaining the difference
I'm explaining the
between the
difference
present simple
between the present
and the
simple
present continuous.
and present continuous.
Very good. Which place in the world do you think is most like heaven? Which place in the world do you think is most like heaven? I think
My I think my home is the most
most
like
like heaven.
heaven.
Very good. What's the opposite of heaven? What's the opposite of heaven? The opposite
The
of heaven.
opposite of heaven is hell.
Very good. Is it a good idea to book a table before going to a very popular restaurant? Is it a good idea to book a table before going to a very popular restaurant? Yes,
Yes,
it's a
it's
good
a
idea
good idea
to
to
book
book
a table
a
before
table
going to a
before we
very
go
popular
to a
restaurant.
very popular restaurant.
Very good. Do you always try hard to answer the questions I ask you? Do you always try hard to answer the questions I ask you? Yes, I
Yes, I
always try
always
hard
try
to answer the
to
questions
answer
you
the
ask me.
question you ask me.
Very good. Are you always willing to try anything new? Are you always willing to try anything new? Yes or no?
No,
I'm
I'm not
always
always
willing
willing
to try
to
anything new.
try, try anything
Anything
new.
new. Very good. Do some people sometimes try to do the impossible? Do some people sometimes try to do the impossible? Yes, some
Yes,
people
some
sometimes
people
try to
sometimes
do
try
the
to
impossible.
be impossible.
Very good. Are cities quiet places to live in? Are cities quiet places to live in? No. Cities
No,
aren't
city
quiet
isn't aren't quiet
places
places
to
to
live
live in.
in. They're noisy places.
They are noisy places.
Is village life noisy? Is village life noisy? No. Village life
No,
isn't noisy.
the red light isn't like
It's
noisy.
quiet.
It's quiet.
Which do you think is the noisiest street in your town? Which do you think is the noisiest street in your town? I think
I think ABC Street is
is
the
the
noisiest
noisiest street
street
in my town.
in my town.
Where are motorbikes quieter than bicycles? Are motorbikes quieter than bicycles? No,
No,
motorbikes aren't
motorbikes
quieter
are
than bicycles.
quieter than the
They're
bicycle.
noisier than bicycles.
They are noisier than the bicycles.
Very good. Are you sorry when the winter ends? Are you sorry when the winter ends? Yes or no?
Uh,
So
no, I'm not sorry.
when the winter
When,
ends,
when the
I'm pleased.
when the winter ends,
Ends.
I'm pleased.
Very good. Will you be sorry if it's a sunny day tomorrow? Will you be sorry if it's a sunny day tomorrow? No, I
Yes,
won't be.
I
Yes.
no,
No, I won't be sorry
no, I won't be
if
sorry
it's a
if
sunny day
it's a
tomorrow.
day tomorrow.
I'll be pleased.
I'll be pleased.
What do we say to people when we do something wrong? What do we say to people when we do something wrong? We say I'm
I
sorry to
say
people
I'm sorry to
when we
people
do
when we do
something
something
wrong.
wrong.
Very good. Okay, what's the past of have? What's the past of have? The past of
The
have
path to
is
have
had.
is hard.
What did I have in my hand last lesson? What did I have in my hand last lesson? You had a
You
pen
had your
in your
pen
hand
at
last
the
lesson.
hand last lesson.
What did you have for your breakfast this morning? What did you have for your breakfast this morning? I had some
Had some protein this morning
for my breakfast this morning.
for my breakfast this morning.
Very good. Okay, even though we don't know, what did she have for her breakfast this morning? What did she have for her breakfast this morning? She had some.
She had she had some ramen this morning
Oh, very
for
nice.
her
Breakfast this morning.
breakfast this morning.
Very good. Did we have any shoes on our feet yesterday? Did we have any shoes on our feet yesterday? Yes or no?
I couldn't catch your question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did we have any shoes on our feet yesterday? Yes or no?
Oh yes, we
We had some
had
shoes
some shoes
on
on
our
our
feet
feet
yesterday.
yesterday.
Did they have any money in their pockets last lesson? Did they have any money in their pockets last lesson? Yes, they had some money
They
in their
have some
pockets
money
last
in their
lesson.
pocket at lesson.
Yeah, after you ask them for it, right? Okay. What's the past of can? What's the past of can? The past of
The past
can is could.
tense is good.
Could you speak English 15 minutes, 15 years ago? Could you speak English 15 years ago? Yes or no?
Uh, yes,
I
I
could
could speak
speak English
English
15 years
in
ago.
15 years ago.
Very good. Could you write your name when you were a baby of 6 months old? Could you write your name when you were a baby of 6 months old? No, I
No, I
couldn't
couldn't
write
write
my
my
name
name
when I
when
was a
I'm
baby of six
baby,
months old.
6 months old.
Can you read when you were a little baby? Can you read when you were a little baby? No, I
No,
can't
I
read
couldn't read
when I
when
was
I was
a little
baby.
baby. Very good. Okay. Do you think maybe it'll rain later? Do you think maybe it'll rain later? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
yes, I
think
think
maybe
maybe
it'll rain
it'll rain
later.
late,
Very good.
later.
Do you think perhaps you'll meet a friend of yours on your way home after the lesson? Do you think perhaps you'll meet a friend of yours on your way home after the lesson? Yes or no?
No,
I don't think
no,
I'll
I
meet a
don't.
friend of
I'll meet
mine
a friend of
on my way
mine
home after the
on my
lesson.
way after the lesson.
Do you think maybe you'll go to the cinema next month? Do you think maybe you'll go to the cinema next month? Yes or no?
No, I
I don't.
don't think
I'll
maybe.
go to the cinema
I'll
next
go
month.
to the cinema next month.
Very good. Do you like sweet food? Do you like sweet food? Yes or no?
No, I don't like sweet food.
Very good. Did you eat a lot of sweets when you were a little child? Did you eat a lot of sweets when you were a little child? Yes or no?
No, I didn't eat a sweet food
A
when
lot
I
of
was a child.
no,
A
I
lot of
didn't eat a
sweet.
lot of
No,
sweets.
no, I don't.
I didn't
No, I didn't eat
a
a
lot
lot
of
of sweet
sweets when I was a child.
when I was a child.
Very good. Okay, and that's the end of our revision. Let's have your work. Very good.
Hmm.
Very fast. Okay, repeat. Spoken,
Spoken,
written.
written.
Very good. Okay, listen. Spoken and written are both adjectives. When we speak, the words we say are spoken words. When we write, the words we write are written words. We generally use a lot of contractions in spoken English, but not often in written English. Well, let's practice. Do we generally use
Hmm.
contractions in spoken or written English? Do we generally use contractions in spoken or written English? We generally use
We generally use
contractions in spoken
contraction
English.
in English.
Very good. Do you think it's easier to understand written English or spoken English? Do you think it's easier to understand written English or spoken English? I think it's
I
easier
Yes, I think it's easier
to
to
understand
understand written English than the spoken English.
spoken English. Very good. Okay, now let's have some construction. Okay, repeat. Book will,
Mm.
bookle.
Book will, bookle.
Tomorrow will, tomorrow.
Tomorrow will, tomorrow.
Light will, light'll.
Light will, light'll.
Mr. Smith will, Mr. Smith'll.
Mr. Smith will, Mr. Smith'll.
Who will, who'll.
Who,
Who will,
sorry,
who'll.
who will, who?
Very good. Last one. What will, what'll.
What will, what'll.
Very good. Okay. Listen. The construction of book will is bookle. Tomorrow will, tomorrow, etc. Let's practice. What's the construction of book will? What's the construction of book will? The
The
construction of book
construction
will
of will is
is
bookle.
bookle. What's the construction of tomorrow will? What's the construction of tomorrow will? The
The
construction
construction
of
of
tomorrow
tomorrow will is
is
tomorrow.
what's the construction of the light wheel? What's the construction of the light wheel? The construction
The
of the
construction
light
of
wheel
the light will is
is
white light.
very good. What's the construction of the door wheel? What's the construction of the door wheel? The
The
construction of the
construction
door
of
wheel.
door is dual.
What's the construction of who will? What's the construction of who will? The construction of who will
Construction of will
is
is
who.
whole.
What's the construction of what will? What's the construction of what will? The
The
construction of
construction
what
of
will
what will
is
is
what will.
wattle.
Very good. Okay, next, listen. We generally use contractions when we speak, but we don't use them if they are difficult to pronounce. For example, we say pen wheel, pennel, but not pencil wheel. We don't combine pencil wheel. It will be like triple L, pencil wheel. Very difficult.
Mm,
Okay, let's
mm, mm,
practice.
mm.
Do we always use contractions in English? Do we always use contractions in English? No, we
No,
don't
we
always
don't use
use
always
contractions in
use the
English.
contraction in English.
When don't we use contractions? When don't we use contractions? We don't use
We don't use
contractions when
contraction
they are
when
difficult to
they are
pronounce. Difficult to
they
pronounce.
difficult to pronounce.
Wait, do you think tomorrow will be a cloudy day? Do you think tomorrow will be a cloudy day? Yes or no?
No, I don't think it will be a
One
cloudy
more.
day tomorrow.
The
No,
contraction. No, I don't think tomorrow will
I don't
be
think tomorrow will
a
be
cloudy
a
day. I
cloudy
think
day.
it'll be
I
sunny.
think it will be sunny.
Very good. Will that picture be hanging on the wall next lesson? Will that picture be hanging on the wall next lesson? Yes, that
Yes,
picture will be
that picture will be
hanging on the
hanging on
wall
the
next lesson.
wall next lesson.
Very good. Will the door be the same color next week as it is this week? Will the door be the same color next week as it is this week? Yes, the door will
Yes,
be the
there will
same
be the
color
same
next week
color
as it is this week.
this week.
Very good. Will Mr. Brown be here next lesson? Will Mr. Brown be here next lesson? Yes, Mr. Brown
Yes,
will be here
Mr. Brown will be here
next lesson.
next lesson.
Very good. Okay, next repeat. Spell.
Spell.
Very good. Okay, listen. Spell is a verb, which means to give the letters that form a word, syllable, etc. For example,
Mhm.
this is a book. We spell book as book. Okay, let's practice. How do you spell
Mm.
your name? How do you spell your name? I spell my
I
name.
spell my name Mayuko.
Very good. Next, repeat. Communicate.
Community?
Communicate.
Communicate
Easily.
easily.
Very good. Okay, listen. Communicate is a verb. It means to give ideas. For example, I think it's easier to communicate in written English. Another meaning of the word communicate is to contact someone. With this meaning, to contact someone, we follow the word communicate with a preposition with. For example, I usually contact my friends by texting them. Or we can say, I usually communicate with my friends by texting them. Easily is an adverb. It means with no difficulty or no effort. For example, I can't communicate very complicated ideas easily in Swahili. No, it's an African language. Let's practice. Do you prefer to communicate with your friends by phoning or texting? Do you prefer to communicate with your friends by phoning or texting? I prefer
I
to
prefer
communicate with my friends by.
by texting.
Very good. Do you think it's easier to communicate in spoken or written English? Do you think it's easier to communicate in spoken or written English? I think it's
I think
easier
it's
to
easier
communicate
to
in
communicate in spoken English
than written English.
than written English.
Very good. Can you communicate very complicated ideas easily in English? Can you communicate very complicated ideas easily in English? Yes or no?
No, I
I
can't
can't communicate.
communicate in
No,
a
Momer. No,
no,
I can't
no,
communicate
I can't
very
communicate
complicated
very
ideas easily in
complicated
English.
yeah,
Yet,
in English. Yeah.
yeah, you put yet because soon you will be. Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Next, repeat. Hadn't.
Hadn't?
Very good. Hadn't. Okay,
Hadn't.
the negative of had is had not, and the contraction is hadn't. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's practice. What's the negative of had? What's the negative of had? The negative of had
Negative
is
had
hadn't.
is hadn't.
Very good, and that's short. Okay, next let's have different forms of have.
Mm.
Okay, so let's talk about the different forms of the word have. Okay, listen.
Mm-hmm.
The common ways of asking questions with the verb have are, do you have a pen or have you got a pen? If
Mm.
we ask it in the past tense, it is the same. We can say, did you have a pen or had you had a pen?
Mm.
Okay, the most common way of asking a question is with the verb have is in the past is did you have? Okay, let's
Mm.
practice. What are the common ways of asking questions with the verb to have? What are the common ways of asking questions with the verb to have? The common
Uh,
ways of
the
asking
common
a
ways
question
of asking
with
a
the
question
verb to have
about
are,
to have
do you
are
have a pen?
do you have
And
a pen?
have you got a
And
pen?
have you got a pen?
Very good. What are the common ways for the past tense? What are the common ways for the past tense? The common ways for the
Common
past
ways
tense are,
for the past tense
did you
have
have a
is
pen?
you have a
Had you
pen.
got a pen?
Have you got a pen?
Very good. Which is the most common way of asking a question with the verb have in the past? Which is the most common way of asking a question with the verb have in the past? The most common
The
way
most
of
common way
asking a question
of asking
with the
question
verb have in the
with a
past
verb
is did
ha-
you have?
with a verb of have
In the
is
past
did you have. In the past
is did
is
you have?
did you have.
Very good. One more. The most common way.
the
of
common
asking
way
a question
of
with the
asking a
verb have
question.
in the past.
Verb of have is
Did you have?
uh, let me
Uh,
repeat.
the
The
most
most
common way
common way
of asking
of
a question
asking a
with the
question,
verb have in
verb
the
have
past
in the
is did
past
you have?
is did you have?
Right? Did you have your book with you last lesson? Did you have your book with you last lesson? Yes or no?
No, no,
I
I didn't
didn't
have
have my book with me
my book with me
last lesson.
last lesson.
Right? Did I have a hat on my head last lesson? Did I have a hat on my head last lesson? No, you didn't
No, you
have a hat
didn't have a
on your
hat
head last
on
lesson.
your head last lesson.
Very good. Okay, shall we move to reading or you want to continue newer?
Reading.
Reading. Very good. Let's move on to reading. Okay, so our reading is at stage 3, paragraph page 175. Okay, and our
100.
last head word was no. Okay, so let's start at page 176. Quick, slow.
Sorry, I lost the number.
Oh,
Paragraph one,
stage 3, 176. 176.
and then last word is
Oh, you start with quick, slow.
okay. What's the opposite of word quick? The opposite of word quick is slow. Do you speak English slower?
No,
Oh,
you speak
do you
Japanese?
speak Japanese slower than you speak English? No, I don't speak Japanese slower than I speak English. I speak it quicker than I speak English.
Mhm,
Do people walk quicker in hot weather than in cold? No, people don't walk quicker in hot weather than in cold. They walk slower. Everybody, everything, everywhere at the same time. Do we say every student is good or every students are good? We say every student is good. Why? Because every is singular. Is every town in the world beautiful? No, not every town in the world is beautiful. Some are beautiful and some are ugly. Do you come here every day of the week? No, I don't come here every day of the week. I only come here once a week.
mhm,
Do you go to bed at the same time every night? No, I don't go to bed at the same time every night. I go to bed at different times. Do you go to bed at the same time every night? Oh,
Does everybody?
does everybody in the world have enough for to eat? No, not everybody in the world has enough food to eat.
Mhm,
Is everything in this room the same color? No, not everything in this room is the same color. Some things are red and some things are blue, even green, etc.
mhm,
Does it snow everywhere in the world? No, it doesn't snow everywhere in the world. In some places it does, and in some places it doesn't. Is it raining outside now? No, it isn't raining outside now. Do you
Okay,
like walking in the
very